Well, it's time now for a look at the day's top business news, and for that we can cross to the other side of the studio where I'm joined by our business editor, Brian Quinn. Brian, you're starting with the latest corporate results from the U.S., this time from Amazon.
Allison, Amazon dropped its earnings report just after Thursday's closing bell on Wall Street. The e-commerce giant beating analyst estimates with first quarter sales, which were up 9% on the year to hit $127.4 billion. It's $3.2 billion in profit, coming in around 50% higher than projections. It wasn't all good news for the company, though. That profit boost largely due to a cost-cutting drive that has seen Amazon axe some 10% of its total headcount. Meanwhile, its critical cloud computing business, Amazon Web Services, posted its slowest growth rate since 2015 at 11%, down from 16% in the previous quarter. Meanwhile, the latest data shows U.S. economic growth slowed sharply in the first 3 months of the year. The U.S. Commerce Department reporting GDP growth of just 1.1% on an annual basis, a significant drop from its 2.6% growth in the previous quarter, and well below analyst projections that had been around 2%. That deceleration a reflection of the Federal Reserve's aggressive bid to bring down decades-high inflation. 9 interest rate hikes over the past year have brought the central bank's benchmark rate to just under 5%, with another hike expected next week. While hopes that the Fed could tame inflation without causing a recession appear to be fading, analysts say price stability is the priority.
Our eye on the ball, and that is inflation. And, a lot of people are concerned about whether we're going to have a deep recession or light recession. What we have to look at is that the Federal Reserve, yes, they want to avoid a recession if they can, but that's secondary. Inflation is like cancer to an economy. Recession is like the flu.
Let's get a check-in now on the day's trading action. Amazon shares initially popped around 10% in after-hours trading on news of that profit beat, before then falling back below their closing price over fears of weakness in cloud services. Asian indexes, meanwhile, rising Friday following big gains in the U.S. tech sector on Wall Street. Bank of Japan Governor Kazuo Ueda is in the spotlight as he chaired his first monetary policy meeting since taking the helm. Ueda maintaining negative interest rates while promising a policy review. The Nikkei in Tokyo up around 1.3%. Shanghai and Hong Kong up from around 0.5 to 0.75%, with the Kospi in Seoul trading slightly above flatline just ahead of the closing bell. Finally, for business, voters in Paraguay will head to the polls Sunday. A center-left coalition led by opposition candidate Efrain Alegre is hoping to unseat the right-wing party that has governed the country for some 7 decades. If Alegre wins, there could be major geopolitical and economic ramifications. He's called for reviewing Paraguay's ties to Taiwan, part of an effort to access lucrative Chinese markets. Carolyn Lambelet has the story.
Pledging to cut diplomatic ties with Taiwan and open relations with China, Paraguayan opposition candidate Efrain Alegre has made waves in recent months. As he has phrased it, he is calling for putting national interests first.
The relationship with Taiwan is special because it means the loss of one of the biggest markets, China. Paraguay makes a very important effort. It gives up a lot to have this relationship with Taiwan, but we're not seeing the same effort from Taiwan.
China is the world's largest beef and soybean importer, 2 of Paraguay's top exports. Formalizing trade ties with the Asian giant would give Paraguay greater market access. According to media reports, Paraguay had a trade surplus with Taiwan of $118 million in 2021. In contrast, Paraguayan imports from China totaled $4 billion that same year, while exports stood at just $30 million. Paraguay is one of only around a dozen countries which has formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan, which China claims as part of its territory. As the election looms, Santiago Peña, who hails from the same party as the current president, has vowed to stick with Taiwan. But he has suggested there could be some wiggle room.
This relationship with Taiwan is a diplomatic and fraternal relationship. Also, Paraguay needs to insert itself into the world, to all markets, even the Chinese market, and its 1.4 billion people.
With the election just days away, Taiwanese authorities urged Paraguay to cherish its relationship with Taiwan and not believe what they called China's superficial promises.
So some high economic stakes in that election in Paraguay coming up, Allison.
We will be following it closely. Brian Quinn, thank you very much. That's Brian Quinn from our business desk. His name